Hey there. First of all, Happy New Year, and thanks for tuning in to our 2026 social media trends. As you can see here, we've got six trends that we'll discuss today. The for you type of content, your reach, the battle, the gap between AI and authenticity, long form content, video content, and search in general or online. Um, as you'll see, there's some overlap with the trends from 2025, which was our probably most popular webinar last year. So I'm very much looking forward to presenting these trends from this year. But first of all, here's a quick recap of what we said last year. So last year we mentioned that a vertical video gains importance, and indeed LinkedIn promoted a lot of video. We'll continue with what we think about video in 2026 later. Our second trend for last year was more focus on personal brand, something that we've definitely seen. All sorts of ghostwriters promoting personal brands or offering personal branding services, agencies as well. It may be an even more professional approach, but overall, a lot of focus on personal brand, and actually something that we at Willow are quite successful at as well in helping others. And then the third one is carousels. Lose their importance as a format. That did not quite happen. There were still carousels, but there were also other formats such as infographics. We still see carousels. Their reach declined a bit, but reach is declining like all over the spectrum. So maybe we're not quite right there, or maybe we were. Social search is growing, and that did definitely happen, but then I think a lot of the focus went to AI taking over for search. Now I think we'll see a much broader sort of search, which we will also discuss later. Fifth trend we discussed was no more hashtags on LinkedIn and more hashtags on Instagram. Definitely true for LinkedIn. Most people, fortunately, stopped using hashtags on LinkedIn, but Instagram recently reduced the limit of hashtags to 3 for some types of content. So we're definitely spot on there. Reach goes down. Have you seen the complaints online? I think that's enough of an explanation that we were quite spot on there as well, and it seems to be going down still. Nonetheless, with almost every single case study that we make about our customers, their reach actually goes up. So they reach more people, more impressions, more engagement, and that goes against the trends, but it's mostly because they find more consistency, they post better content, and that's actually going to be probably one of the top trends that we'll see going forward. But first, like the final trend of last year was the rise of agentic AI. We did see a lot of posts about agentic AI, especially for go-to-market, but also a little bit for content, a bit for other less marketing-related stuff or sales-related stuff, but still quite limited to technical users. We didn't really include this in the trends for 2026 because it's not new, but we'll definitely see a further evolution of agentic AI in the months to come. Now, first trends that's really important for 2026, and we already saw this happening a little bit towards the end of last year. Your audience and followers matter much less than the content that you create. TikTok, Instagram have had a For You feed for quite some time where they suggest content based on what you watch, based on what you like. We're also seeing that more and more on LinkedIn, that you get suggestions of content based on the type of content that you engage with rather than the people that you follow. Is this positive? Is this negative? It really depends. Some people just want to connect, others want to reach more people and new people. Well, if you're in the second category, I think this is a big positive. So how do you deal with this? You post around clear topics. You make it very obvious what you're about. You don't just post about topic A and then B and C and D and E and so on. You pick A, B, C, and then you rotate. You create your series of social media posts around those topics. What also helps very well is to tie your content to current conversations in your industry or just in the media. If something maybe political happens and you have something to say about it or something meaningful, that's definitely going to be a good, not definitely, but it's more likely going to be a good piece of content because a lot of people are talking about it, people are interested in it. So that would be a good strategy regarding this trend of more for you content. And finally, assume that every post is shown to strangers. This is maybe not new advice, but you should always take into account that most people won't know who you are when they see your post for the first time, even maybe for the second or third time. So don't be afraid to introduce yourself a little bit at the end, and always assume that people are just seeing you for the first time. Like even people that post very consistently, and then they have people engaging with the post consistently, even some of them say that those fans don't actually know what their services are. So you have to be clear about what you do, who you do it for, and make sure that people can't mistake that people get some nudges from time to time to discover your services. Second trend, volume increases, reach decreases. So it's a bit related. The access to content creation got 10 times easier with AI. So anyone can create content. I think this still hasn't happened. Some people are still a little bit on the fence, but it's also going to be a lot easier still, but better quality. So maybe more people will jump on that content creation bandwagon, and then there's just going to be an explosion of content online, which means that far fewer accounts will actually get good reach, because the number of consumers more or less stays the same while the number of creators grows. So if there's more content that has to be seen by the same set of eyes, then logically those your content will reach fewer sets of eyes, and a space like that is going to work. But that's not necessarily a bad sign, because if you look at it together with the previous trend, then even if you reach fewer people, if you reach more of the right people, that's actually all that matters, right? So how do you deal with this? Stop measuring success just by impressions, but by signals. Like, can you know if someone interesting goes from your social media post to your website? Can you track that? Are meaningful people liking or commenting on your posts? That's the type of signals that matter much more than just your impressions in general. Second, make sure that you stay relevant by sticking to your topics, so that you reach the people that you want to reach with content that matters for them, and just don't optimize for reach in general, but for reaching the right people. Quantity may help if you want those impressions to stay high, but quality is still better, because it's better to reach just a couple of people, a few dozen people with a quality post, than to reach a few hundred people with 5 average posts. So it's something that you have to define a little bit for yourself. You just want to be seen quite often, or you want to be seen by the people that matter with something that's very high quality. Third, the AI versus authenticity battle. I think this is going on maybe a little bit already. Like, people are debating, oh, this is AI written, this is not AI written. So authenticity and maybe a word that has been around a bit as well is taste. These are really keywords in the AI era of social media, because AI keeps improving, and I think that it will get harder and harder to tell the difference, the M dash and the it's not, but people will find a way to tweak it with their prompts. So there will be less giveaways of clear AI content. So authenticity is going to be the true differentiator. But what does that mean? Not everything has to be perfect, especially if you make video content or photos. It doesn't have to be picture perfect. It can have a few rough edges. It just has to look authentic, really you mean it, you want to bring something across, and you don't just want to look perfect, and you don't just want to do it for the leads, but you want to do it to bring something meaningful to the social media platform. For example, for an accountant, a law firm, etc., they're to share a look behind the scenes. They're to show what's going on at the office. In terms of the educational content, don't just share summaries. AI can write perfect summaries. It takes 1 minute now to write a summary post. So you really have to add your own thoughts, your own opinions, your own thought leadership to something. If, for example, a new law gets approved, and what's your what's your law firm's stance on that new law? If you can provide your own opinion, that's going to make your content 10 times more important, 10 times better than just commenting on what has changed, because everyone is going to share the same post about what has changed. And so the way to stand out is by being authentic. Another way is to share real experiences, real failures, real wins, real decisions. How is your company making decisions internally? Can you share a little bit about that? Can you share about cases that were successful? Can you share about in HR about something where it went wrong, a hiring process that went wrong, and how you would fix it in the future, for example? So think about real life experiences that you can comment on in a social media post that show your true personality, that show your personal side instead of just the thing that AI could have written. Number 4, long form content makes a comeback. So this is maybe a bit broader than social media, but quite a lot of people are getting a bit bored of all the short form content, especially now that it can be AI generated, and these can be images, these can be short videos, these can be written posts on LinkedIn, but it's all sort of content that's very easy to scroll past. So people might want to start looking to in-depth content again and start learning again from essays, from longer articles. And if you can provide that sort of content, that puts you in a very strong spot for what we said in the beginning, that topical knowledge, that being known for a certain topic, but also for search, which will come later. So how do you deal with this in terms of social media? Publish your structured long posts as LinkedIn articles, for example, or as a newsletter on LinkedIn. But then you also have apps like Substack or Medium, which are somewhat in the gray zone of being a social media platform. So you can look at those as well. If you have the means, create and share original research. This is it's a no-brainer if you have the means to do this, because that's a very original content. It's very authentic content in a way, because no one else can copy it. No AI machine can create it, because you come up with something original that you have studied yourself, that you have proven yourself, that can then get reshared by other people, that would then lead to more mentions of your brand, of your company, that will lead to more people talking about it, which will also help with number 6, the search. Finally, try to get your audience involved with webinars, with interviews, talk to them, get them on your podcast, interview them and publish that as an article, get people involved, make it more interpersonal, something as well that AI just can't do. 5th trend, there will be more video. The impact is probably going to stay more or less the same. So videos are a bit addictive. You start swiping on Instagram, you start swiping on TikTok, and you just can't leave. And making videos with AI has become easier, maybe not super easy for everyone, but if you have a little bit of technical knowledge, it's much easier to create a bunch of videos now versus just one per day before. So we'll see more video online. LinkedIn is still promoting a lot of creators to say, hey, you should create video content for LinkedIn. My question is, are people really waiting for more video content on LinkedIn? It feels like it's not going to work, or not going to work yet. So how do you deal with this as a B2B company, smaller B2B company with maybe a more limited budget? Don't do it. Don't jump on the video bandwagon. Don't hop on the trend if you don't have the time or the budget. Because creating a video will cost time. If you outsource it, it will cost money. The impact might not always be better than the impact of a carousel, of just a short form content, a written content post. And even if it reaches a bit more people, or if it has a bit more engagement, is it really worth the investment? That's something that you really have to consider. But if you do want to make videos, don't overdo it. Focus on creating authentic videos. As I said, something behind the scenes that may have rough edges, doesn't have to be super professional. Don't go with cheap AI videos. I've tried a few, didn't really work. Which doesn't mean that you can't create AI videos, but then again, we're talking about the budget aspect, where it's going to get still very expensive to get a very well edited AI video. So only create video if it's a real added value compared to other formats, such as a webinar, for example, where you're interviewing someone, then it will have added value as a video. Finally, we're going to talk about the social media that feeds AI. So it's related to that search again. social media posts increasingly feed search engines and AI answers. So we already had Reddit posts and YouTube videos showing up in Google, or being part of an answer that ChatGPT provides. Sometimes we've seen LinkedIn articles pop up there as well. I think this is just going to get more and more important, again because of this authenticity. Like, what people share on social media is more rough. It's less polished. It's more real opinions. It's also stuff that other examples are Trustpilot, for example, or G2, like those review websites where the people share their unpolished opinions, and that's like real content that these AI engines know that it's hopefully not AI generated, still written by a human. So why does this matter to you? It's very important that your brand stays consistent across the different platforms. If you say on LinkedIn that your business does X, and then you say on Facebook that your business does X and Y, and on YouTube you do Y and Z, then it gets very confusing, and then the answers that the AI engines or the ChatGPTs of this world will create might not be correct, or will very likely not be correct. So the people that find information about your company through Claude or through Gemini or through ChatGPT, they will have a wrong picture of what you actually do. So whatever you say about your brand, stay consistent. It's also important to know that you don't have to include links to your website anymore. Because in the past, doing SEO involved getting as many brand mentions with a link to your website as possible to get rank authority, to make your website rank higher in Google. Now, getting your brand mentioned, even without the link, is already valid. However, there are some companies like Willow which might have a bit of a harder time because there are hundreds of companies named Willow, and so then you do need to find something that makes the connection between your brand name and what you do clear enough in the right contexts. But for other companies like law firms, which just have the names of the partners, then it's good enough to just get the names of your partners mentioned or of the law firm mentioned, because there's likely not a lot of competition for that name. And I actually told a little bit pointry is just that getting mentioned by others may be the biggest growth lever of 2026, because getting mentioned by others means that there's just a lot more information about your company from a lot of different sources, which can help these AI engines define your company, make you show up, make those answers really look more credible. So how do you get those mentions? It's by creating that high quality content, authentic content, maybe those social media posts, staying consistent, and very important again, original research, original content, something that only you or your company could have made. I hope those 6 trends were pretty clear. If there are any questions, you can always reach out to me via email, LinkedIn DM, or comment on our LinkedIn post. But before we close, some more wild predictions maybe of where things might go. So about the trends, we're always quite sure, let's say 90% sure, the predictions they could go anyway. So what we have here by Henrik, engagement is going to become a more important KPI. If you're switching to more human content, engagement metric will also be used to check if it's actually resonating enough with the audience. Ludwig expects that there will be a crossover between cybersecurity and social media platforms. So the security of social media accounts will become a thing. And then I personally think that video is not going to work on LinkedIn, despite the massive investments that we actually see in sponsored content. I just think people don't want the remaining a written text-based social media platform to change into video platform as well. And we also asked some other people what they think. Some people outside Willow. So we've got a reply here that says that the for youification of feeds will continue to the point that many people will be discouraged and stop posting. X is the perfect example of this. It's basically a lottery now. And we've actually seen this where it's just the algorithm that goes a little bit crazy, and you like a post about football once, and then every other post is about football. Or you like a post about the lottery ones, and then every other post is about the lottery. So it's very difficult to get those algorithms right, and if they get this wrong, then it really decreases the value of social media. Another opinion that we've seen, or prediction that we've seen, is the downfall of influencers. People are just tired of seeing product promotions all over the place, so we might see fewer influencers, according to this marketer. And the third one is that ads are getting creepily personalized, and AI comments are now an embedded feature, so either they turn it around or it starts a downward momentum. Like, not an exodus, but like a slow enshittification and a painfully slow death march, where it's like with the furification, just people will stop using that particular platform because it doesn't feel authentic anymore, because it feels very commercial. And then on the final slide, just a few wishes for social media in 2026, because some of the trends may be a bit more negative, may sound a bit more negative, although I don't think they are. Like, my conclusion is, if you have a clear message and a clear audience, very clear about what you do, 2026 is going to be a great year for social media. It's going to be easier to reach the people that you want to reach, but you have to write the top quality content that those people want to read. But back to this slide, wishes for social media in 2026. I wish to have a little bit more detailed analytics, like you can see for some of your personal posts, that how many times they've been saved or resent to someone. But what about the dwell time? Like, how long are people spending on your post? Or how many people are just clicking see more instead of all sorts of clicks together? So that's the type of analytics that I would love to see. Then Kun, our CTO, would love to see less broadcasting your own opinion and more interacting with others. I agree, it's a social media platform after all, like social, and it's often does not feel that social anymore. Ali would like, or is thinking about, like, when are we going to see a new social media channel or format, like something completely new altogether. But he does not think that there will be holograms, but he do wishes to see maybe something new at some time this year. And Ludwig hopes that the reputation of social media will become better, that people stop thinking and writing about social media, and the people that think and write about social media will be more focused on shining a light on the positive and transformative power instead of the doom and gloom story, because it's always about how social media is bad for you. But why don't we also write about the positive things that happen through LinkedIn, through Instagram, through all those beautiful social media channels? And that's a wrap for our social media trends 2026. Thank you very much for watching, and lots of good luck this year. Happy posting!